welcome to IWM2024. I hope you enjoy. Felicity, Flutter.
Hello everybody, welcome to International Watercolour Masters 2024. This is the final day of our amazing show that we've been running for the last 10 days. It only happens every 2 years, so the next one will be in 2026, if we survive. And let's hope all you survive as well. As I said previously, we are making watercolour history by broadcasting live to the whole watercolour world. And you're part of this show as well, obviously. Just find out, Kevin, how many are tuning in? Wow. 14,000 people are now tuning in to the show from all over the world, and they're watching on IWM TV. And you can too. You can relive the whole show and a lot more content if you look at IWMTV.com. Give it a try. So, moving on. Our next artist is a specialist in painting the sea and zooming in particularly to paint the waves of the sea with intricate, precise, fantastic detail, which usually takes many, many weeks for her to complete each painting. She's a member of the Royal Institute of Painters in Watercolours, as am I. So she's an RI. I know her very well, and it's my great privilege to introduce you to Felicity Flutter.
Hi there, everyone. Thanks for coming. As David said, I do paint normally very slowly. So lately I've been practicing to see if I can paint a bit faster. So we'll see how it goes. I'm going to have fun, and I hope you have fun as well. I'm going to do a little Blue Peter moment here. So this is my practice run that I did about a week ago. So this is what I'm hoping to achieve. Okay. We'll see if it looks like that at the end. And I apologise that I'm not starting with a white piece of paper. I have put a couple of layers on for the rocks so that I can concentrate on the sky and the waves. So I'm going to start with the sky. So I'm going to wet the whole of that area, but not too wet. Put that up here. There's lots of little flecks of dust on here. I'm sure that you get the same problem, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Right, what I'm going to do first is just to put a little bit of yellow in the background of the top left of the sky, because it was a very cold, windy November day that I got this reference on the South Devon coast. if any of you have been there, you may well know Sawmill Cove, which is a very beautiful place. And that's where my reference has come from. And down the bottom, sort of on the horizon, I'm going to put a slightly sort of pinkier colour. Brush is a bit too wet. And I'm going to sort of move those colours about a bit. And this painting today is going to be based mostly on the use of a colour called Lavender by Daniel Smith. And funnily enough, one of the artists in IWM2024 happened to use it and mention it, and since then I've been practicing with it and I just love it. I also have quite a lot of greys by Daniel Smith. He does some special greys and I'll be using those too. Right, I'm just going to dry this off. That's better. Now I'm going to wet it again over the top of what I've already painted. Now here we go with this lavender. I want it to be quite subtle on this left-hand side. When it's you're working wet into wet here, and you can move the paint around quite a bit while it's wet. I might try and go a bit darker than I did in my practice one, so that you can see better and it looks a bit more dramatic. By the way, can you all hear what I'm saying? No. No? Oh dear. I'll try and speak a bit louder and a bit slower. seem to have got a dry bit that I've missed there. Right.
Felicity, what brushes are you using, please?
I've got 2 Dale Rowney ones here, and I'm also going to be using some Escoda brushes as well. So I tend to have a mixture, which I like to experiment with brushes. So it's always good to try different brands. They are sable, these ones. Right, let's get some more colour on here. I'm hoping with this quite flat angle that it's not going to flow too much. I want it to flow a little bit, but not a lot, because there are bits I want to save, some of the white of the paper. Yes? I'm using mostly Daniel Smith at the minute. A slightly smaller brush. I'm now going to try and paint round this rock that I've got in the background. I haven't actually masked any of it, so we'll see what happens with the edges. All right, while this over here is still a bit wet, but not very wet, I'm going to drop in a little bit more colour. There's some quite nice little things happening down here that I rather like. I want to soften this edge along here though. This bit here, I'm going to soften the edge because I want the wave to spray up into the sky. I'm going to make it darker and more dramatic on the right. Too much. Yes, I paint on Fabriano Artistico knot, and it's the 300 weight paper.
Why do you prefer that?
I've tried other ones, papers, but I've just always come back to this one. It has a slight tooth to it, which I like, because you get nice effects on the paper with the paint pooling into the grooves in the paper. And I find it very forgiving. I can take out and just keep adding to it. And I've just found it's just perfect for the way that I work. Do you think that looks dramatic enough? Hope so. I'm now going to mix up some browns to do this rock in the distance. And I'm using one called dark brown. And I think it was a Winsor and Newton one. But it won't be purely that. I'm going to mix some of the other colours in too. Graphite. Going to dry the edge of the sky off a bit. Whoops, got a blob in the sky that I didn't want. I'm just going to soften the edges of that mistake that I made there. Right, there's a wave that's splashing up here, so I want the edge of it to be quite soft. So I'm just going to try and take away some, soften it with a Kleenex. Let that bit bleed down a bit here too, but not too much.
Have you got masking fluid in your paper?
No, no masking fluid.
Never used?
I do sometimes, but I didn't want to today. I've got the paper quite wet here on this rock, so I can keep adding a little bit more colour into it. Right. Now I'm going to come over here and paint the background sea, which is slightly green. So I've put a little bit of water on so that I can get a soft edge at the bottom of this little distant piece of sea. It was literally, I've just mixed up various greens and some bright sort of greeny blues, if you can see that. Sometimes I can't exactly tell you what I'm doing because it just comes straight out of my head without thinking about it. when I'm painting my seascapes, I always keep the horizon completely level. And I don't particularly like paintings where I see the horizon at an angle because it looks like the water's flowing out. I apologise if I'm not talking loud enough. I've got quite a dry throat. Sorry, I shouldn't have done that. I've got a bottle of water, and I always have a bottle because you know what it's like. You put your paintbrush in. If it's a glass, you put your paintbrush in it. This bit that I'm painting here is the underside of the wave, which is always wonderfully dark. I'm going to go in just above it with some more of my lavender. And over on the right, I've got a very translucent bit of wave, and I'm going to work on that bit now while it dries over here. It's bringing in some of those greens, but I've also put a bit of the lavender in it as well, so I'm trying to use that lavender everywhere to sort of tie it all in. Sorry? There was a perylene green, and what have I written on here? Perylene green, a permanent sap green, and an olive green I've got here. If you want to have a look afterwards, I've done a little chart. Right, I'm going to go in on the... There's a little blob in the sky there, and I've got it out. This is what the challenge is watercolour, isn't it? Now, I think I'd better attack the elephant in the room, which is this big wave at the front. Sorry if I'm not saying very much at the minute, I'm concentrating. And now darkening my lavender with a bit of Payne's grey. Now this part down here is the bit that I want to be the darkest. Also there's a bit over here too that I need to add to.
Is the whole area of that waste still wet, or have you dried it with tissue in places?
It's mostly wet at the minute, yes. That bit isn't.
Yeah. I just saw subtle tissue. I just wondered whether you had dried some bits.
You never know.
Do you ever get blooms?
Oh, yes. Some blooms you want. You want some happy accidents. So that's taking a bit out there, isn't it? So that means I can probably add a bit more colour just above it as well. And soften the top edge of that as well. Yeah, now we're getting some shapes in there. As it's drying off, I'm able to put a bit more colour in specific areas that aren't bleeding as much across the page, which is what I want at this stage. There's a tiny bit of sea just in the background here that I need to put some more green in. Now that this bit over here has dried, I'm going to go back in and put some wet onto almost dry. And I'm moving it about with a flatter brush. I'm bending my head forward too much. Don't have all these problems when I'm painting in the studio.
Neither do I.
Oh dear.
Was that blending brush dry? That one you're blending it with, was that dry?
Yes. Yeah. I'm just checking what we're doing with time. So I'm going to do a little bit of adding some white in. Which I was always told that I shouldn't do this, but I think these days anything goes. And I need to achieve some sort of soft white at the tops of the waves, so this really is my best way of doing it. So I'm going to go in on this bit here. And literally I've got it really quite thick and quite dry. So I'm getting quite nice marks. No, it's just Winsor & Newton titanium white. Oops, I'm going to put my fingers in there. Wrong brush. Use that one. As with all these things, it's trying to get just the exact right amount on your brush, and which all takes practice. Just now I had too much on my brush. And sometimes I will mix a bit of blue in with it if I don't want it to be too pure white. Keep my head up. When you're working with opaque paint as opposed to translucent with watercolour, with the white, you don't need to put very much blue in it for it to look darker.
Is what you're painting over already dry, or does it pick up the blue?
No, it's dry now. Yeah. So over here, there's some quite nice little bits that are coming off the wave here. I'm just going to put those in. But they're in shadow, so I don't want them as white as the top of the wave. And then I'm going to go and add some on the left as well. And I think those actually even need to be slightly darker. Okay, thanks. Quick, I'd better put that little rock in that I've missed out. Turn up. Well, you can see I'd never have got those rocks done in time, would I? There's a cauliflower there. Shall I leave it there? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Excuse me putting my head over just for a minute. When you're running out of time, just use your fingers. I think you could probably realise that I could go on adding to this for quite some time, but I'm not allowed to.
In the rocks that you made previous to painting here, did you use titanium white?
Yes, I did, yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what you would use on the rocks to complete?
Yes. Okay. I think that means I've got to stop.
Ladies and gentlemen, Felicity Flutter.
Thank you.